Hello everyone, I'm Jim Sporer, and let me just share my presentation here and get started. I'll share my screen, and here's the presentation. So, hello everyone, I'm Jim Sporer, and I want to thank Akshat Narella and Rupal Jain for inviting me to be one of the judges and keynotes in today's IEEE TAMU Technothon. And I'm a retired industry executive. I've worked at Apple, I've worked at IBM. I'm currently helping with a nonprofit, the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals. Um, but it's my pleasure today to just talk to you a little bit about innovation. And for me, the best way to predict the future is to inspire the next generation of students to build it better. So I'm really happy to be a judge today and see some of the inspiring stuff that you're working on. But as we think about it, you certainly are digital natives, and within a few years, you're going to see more and more vehicles driving themselves. You're going to see no water shortages in the world because of advanced desalination techniques. Manufacturing will be local again because of robotics, 3D printing, and other advances. Energy, no energy shortages you'll see in your lifetime because of things like geothermal, artificial leaf, construction, much safer, much cleaner, much more sustainable building because of new materials. And ICT, computers are going to become very, very intelligent. We'll talk about that today. Retail goes social and mobile. Finance, crowdfunding for investment, so no shortage of investment for great ideas. Healthcare, all robotic surgery, 3D printed organs. Education is going to look a lot more like students doing entrepreneurial projects, sort of like what you're doing in your Technothon. And I know it's hard to believe, but with some of the advances coming, even government will work better. So how do we get this great future through innovation? And I think it comes down to learning to invest wisely. So, as responsible actors, and by responsible actors, I mean people, individuals, but also businesses, nations, universities. Responsible actors are learning to invest wisely and becoming better future versions of themselves. And technology can amplify, but technologies can amplify good or bad. So that's what service innovation is all about. That's what ISSIP's all about. If you want to register, it's free. Join us. We practice give, get, grow. We give and share our expertise. We get recognition, and we grow our professional networks. So this is probably the most important slide as we think about innovation for the future in my deck here. And it's basically my version of Moore's Law. If you go out 20 years, 1960, 1980, 2000, 2020, here we are in about 2024, 2040, 2060, 2080, and then we draw horizontal lines of $1 trillion, $1 billion, $1 million, and $1,000. We can see these diagonals going down in cost, and this is the cost of computation. So an exascale is the estimated computing power of a human brain. And we see that by 2060, it's $1,000. So certainly you as students are going to see, if these trends continue, a world of amazing computing power. In fact, a Rana scale is a billion is a billion times more than an exascale. It's basically the computing power of the people on a whole planet. And that will only cost $1 billion by 2080 if these trends continue. And as the cost of computing drops, the good thing is that the GDP, or gross domestic product, output of nations per employee goes up exponentially. And this is great news for entrepreneurs who, want to assemble a team of experts to get something done that can be costly. That cost is going down. You may recognize this guy. He's Jensen Huang. He's the CEO of NVIDIA, one of the hottest companies on the planet right now. And he talks about the marginal cost of computing going to zero. What is the marginal cost of anything? Well, look around you. Everything that's manufactured around you, all the services have costs. They have labor costs, they have energy costs, they have material costs, and more, of course, the service around us has a computational cost. And as that cost goes to zero, we're going to see an explosion of innovation in new types of service. And of course, that's one of the things that I support. But what are the challenges? I see three challenges. I'll brief the challenge to invest wisely in getting a future that we want to live in are how are we going to keep up with all this accelerating change? And the other thing is we need better ways of communicating with each other. And we need better ways of mastering self-control. And what do I mean by self-control? Well, think of self-control as, not scrolling too much on your social apps or not going into an ice cream store and eating too much. Self-control is essential to having a better future. So the way I keep up with accelerating change is by following people. This is a diagram that shows all the different types of people that I follow. I rank them from doers to knowers to optimists to realists. And by spending about an hour a day, I'm able to keep up with accelerating change much, much better than I could if I wasn't following these people. And just to give you a little bit more of a taste, for example, Ethan Mollick, he's at University of Penn. He recently showed that open source is about 1 year behind vendor-controlled AI. And Reid Hoffman, another person I follow, he's a VC out here in Silicon Valley. He's the founder of LinkedIn. He's building a digital twin of himself and interviewing himself about his books. Fascinating to watch. These Neuron guys with their daily newsletter, they're following AI trends, but they're also following humanoid robot trends. And we know yesterday Elon Musk had quite a robot festival, and it was followed by these guys. So I learned about what happened there by reading the daily newsletter of these guys. What's also interesting is sometimes when you follow people, normally they disagree, but sometimes they agree. And when they agree on something being overhyped, that's worth paying attention to. So I urge you, if you want to keep up with accelerating change, to follow people. Now let's talk a little bit about better ways of communicating. The biggest problem we have with communicating is, we use specialization, but that means sometimes the engineers can't talk to the business people, can't talk to the social scientists who are trying to build the laws and policies around this technology. So in the past, ISSIP has promoted what we call T-shaped people. And we have a great number of projects in ISSIP about becoming better T-shaped. You can measure your T-shaped score using the Mighty Me platform. But as we go into the future, communicating is also going to be augmented by our AI. We'll all have our AI to help us. And I really think while you're students, you really want to make sure you're taking courses, not just in engineering, but some courses in the business school, as well as courses in the social science school. This will help build your network of people, but it'll also help you in your communication skills for the future innovations. Now, building a digital twin is going to be important. We're all going to have digital twins in the future. I'm building my digital twin to be able to give talks for me, so and answer questions about my talks. I give a lot of talks, and it'd be nice to be able to scale myself in giving talks. But we think about the limits of communication. We can only talk so fast. We are pushing words at each other through straws. This lecture format is very, very old, and we can write only about 10 to 20 words a minute. So we're very slow writers in general. And, as we use these advanced technologies, we have to think about how are we going to use these technologies to communicate and understand each other better. And this is the progression I see developing. AI tools to assistants, to collaborators, to coach, to mediator. Coach, of course, will help us learn. Mediators will negotiate things on our behalf, be very, very trusted. But as we do this, we have to think about solving intelligent augmentation in a way that makes people stronger. And I want to emphasize that. We want bicycles for the mind that make us stronger. Not just cars that make us weaker for walking, but bicycles make us stronger for walking. So how do we design all of these innovations in a way that makes humanity stronger if the technology disappears? That's a real challenge. And I want to challenge you all today to think about that. And of course, we're going to need greater self-control. I'm not going to say much more about it other than read this book, Geek Heresy, if you want to understand it. There's another paper you can read. And self-control is going to be very, very important. We got to know when is enough and be able to stop. This has been my journey in innovation. I remember growing up in a farmhouse in Maine that had a party line telephone. Yes, it was made of wood. It hung on the wall. Then when I got to MIT, I had a rotary phone. When I got to Silicon Valley in 1995, I had my first cell phone. Now, of course, I got my smartphone. But what could I have by 2035 and what 2055? It's going to be amazing, that's for sure. And here are some books to read that I've read along my career journey. Everything from Future Shock by Alvin Toffler to Getting Unstuck When You Get Stuck in Your Thinking by my friend John Walpert. Now, there's two approaches to the future. One is making machines smarter, that's artificial intelligence. The other that we study at ISSIP is service science, that's about transforming generations of people, making people more responsible entities and learning to invest wisely in a future that we all want to live in. My journey through life, I studied natural systems in Maine when I was growing up on the farm, and at MIT when I got my degree in physics, but I was also fascinated with biology and the social sciences. When I got to Verbex, my first job, oh, I don't know why this keeps changing. Um, uh, Verbex, my first job, an AI company out of MIT, and then I went to Yale to study artificial intelligence, lived in Rome for a year, worked at Apple. I was studying artificial intelligence and human intelligence. But when I got to IBM and in ISSIP and the Linux Foundation AI and Data and Serve Colab, I started studying these complex systems of people and technology. So I'll end there, but just thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. I hope you learn to invest wisely in getting the future that we all want. I hope this quick talk was a little bit inspiring, and I look forward to judging today the rest of your talk. So I will stop the recording now. And